It is 10:35 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. It's the 25th day of August 2025. This is episode 1154 of Bitcoin, and we got some news out of Citibank. A little bit of fear coming out of Citibank that stablecoin yields may destroy everything under the sun. This is why you're here. This is why you're here, so that you can pick up the mainstream news of what's going on in Bitcoin without having to wade through all of the crap that I have to wade through, the curation that I go through to bring you the creme de la creme of these stories. And honestly, that is not creme de la creme, but it's for a Monday after a Bitcoin crash, because, you know, Michael Saylor has bought some Bitcoin because it always happens on Sunday. This is what we're dealing with. And I also want to get into the fact that we are in dangerous territory with corporate shitcoinery. I told you it was going to happen, and it's definitely happening, and it's here. It's the story that I'm going to bring you about Solana is going to demonstrate that. I hope to not have to read the whole thing, but I really need everybody to get on board with what's happening. It's a kind of alt season 2.0, and it pains me that it's happening because I thought that stupidity was just in the street with your average Joe, but no. Chief executive officers and chief financial officers, they're just as dumb as anybody else. And what I've got for you today is going to prove it to you. And then Japan is going to piss a whole bunch of people off in their lovely country. We'll get to it. I'm going to talk about something called AQSTR.com. Man, I have no idea how to pronounce this, but it's neat. And I honestly, I hope people start using this. And I know when people start using this, other people are going to just roll their eyes and go, oh my God, it's another form of Zapvertising. But I have to admit, this is pretty slick. And I'm going to tell you all about it right before I go into Metaplanet and, well, what's going on with Metaplanet? Yes, they bought some more Bitcoin, but there's something else that's happening. And then we'll end, I know we're going to have to end on a sad note, but it's, as usual, it's going to be a object lesson of what not to do so that you can be prepared if something like this were to come your way. Let's get into Citi executive warns that stablecoin yields could drain bank deposits. Oh my. The humanity. Oh my God. Adrian Zmunsky from Cointelegraph says paying interest on stablecoin deposits could spark a wave of bank outflows similar to the money market fund boom of the 1980s. Citi's future of finance head, Ronit Ghose, warned in a report published on Monday. And according to the Financial Times, Ghose compared the potential outflows caused by paying interest on stablecoins to the rise of money market funds in the late 1970s and early 1980s. Those funds ballooned from about $4 billion in 1975 to $235 billion just 7 years later in 1982, outpacing banks whose deposit rates were tightly regulated, Federal Reserve data shows. Withdrawals from bank accounts exceeded new deposits by 32 billion between 1981 and 1982. Everybody was running for the money market. They were pulling their money out of banks and shoving it into these brand new shiny vehicles called money markets. It's kind of like a savings account, but not at your bank. Chicanery has always been with us, people. Quote, banks may face higher funding costs by relying more on wholesale markets or raising deposit rates, which could make credit more expensive for households and businesses. The Genius Act does not allow stablecoin issuers to offer interest to holders, but it does not extend the ban to crypto exchanges or affiliated businesses. The regulatory setup led to a significant reaction by the banking sector. Several U.S. banking groups led by the Bank Policy Institute have argued local regulators to close what they say is a loophole that may indirectly allow stablecoin issuers to pay interest or yields on stablecoins. And in a recent letter, the organization argued that the so-called loophole may disrupt the flow of credit to American businesses and families, potentially triggering $6.6 trillion in deposit outflows from the traditional banking system. Can you feel the fear? Can you feel the hackles just raising up on the backs of these people's necks? Because I can. The crypto industry pushed back against banks' concerns, with two industry organizations urging lawmakers to reject proposals to close the loophole. The organizations warned that the revisions would tilt the playing field toward traditional banks while stifling innovation and consumer choice. The United States government has emerged as a leading supporter of the adoption of dollar-pegged stablecoins. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said in March that the U.S. government will use stablecoins to ensure that the U.S. dollar remains the world's global reserve currency. And he said at the time, quote, "We are going to put a lot of thought into the stablecoin regime, and as President Trump has directed, we are going to keep the United States dollar the dominant reserve currency in the world, and we will use stablecoins to do that." I'm reminded of a meme at this point. It's the one with the toddler sitting on the side of the pool and the mother with her arms out saying, "Jump to me, jump to me." Meanwhile, her other kid is drowning just to her left by a couple of feet. And then underneath it all is the chair with the skeleton tied to it, just clearly drowned, right? Something about this is like the little toddler on the side of the pool is like stable coins, and the mommy is like U.S. regulators and President Donald Trump and Scott Bessent, and the banks are over here drowning. And meanwhile, we've got what happened to the banks in the mid-1970s up through the mid-1980s as the skeleton tied to the freaking chair. We've been through shit like this before. And maybe the banks are right to be a little well, what's a good word for it? Cautious? Like prey in the midst of a bunch of predators, not wanting to really move or twitch or make their presence known. But hey, look, it's going to happen. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and there's not a damn thing anybody can do about it. One thing that does concern me, though, is that this could actually trigger a lot more consolidation in the banking sector, at least in the United States, most likely the entirety of the West, let's be honest, but at least in the United States. And we don't need any more consolidation. I don't need one bank in the United States outside of the Federal Reserve. I don't need Wells Fargo to be the singular bank that absorbed every other bank. Because we used to have tens of thousands of banks in the United States, possibly even around the time that the Great Depression was triggered in the late 20s and 30s, early 30s. We may have had 100,000 banks, like little tiny banks. And the Great Consolidation started at the Depression. Banks started folding into each other. They started collapsing into each other. And this kind of continued, it slowed down, and then it would happen every once in a while, but then you get to the mid 70s and through the mid 80s, you got more consolidation, and then you get to like 1987, or rather, it might have been around 1986, and you had the savings and loan debacle, and that caused more consolidation, and then we get people flying planes into the World Trade Centers in New York City, and we get more bank consolidation. And then 2008 happened, and we got way more bank consolidation, and then freaking COVID. And it brought yet more bank consolidation. Now, if these guys cannot figure out a way to stay open and pay their staff, you're going to see another consolidation wave hit, and stablecoins could be the cause. They might be rightly afraid, but nothing stops this train. And nothing stops the shit coinery. Oh my God, it's just, it's so maddening to watch this from afar and not be able to do a damn thing about it. But check this out, just so you understand what's going on. We started with a bunch of companies just buying Bitcoin. We started with MicroStrategy, and then they became Strategy. Of course, we know. And then here comes Metaplanet. And then here comes Similar Scientific. And then we get 54 companies total, or somewhere around there. And they all just started getting as much Bitcoin as they could. Now, you know from what I've said, Strategy, Similar Scientific, Metaplanet, at least those three probably survive. There may be some questions around Similar Scientific. I don't know. But if I got to pick three, I'm picking those three. Oh, and 21, Jack Mallers' company that's backed by Franklin Financial or Franklin Templeton, or it's one of the Franklin groups, and it's a massive group. So that if I got to pick four, I'm definitely going with those four. But the rest of them, I think a lot of these guys are Hail Marrying. You know, they're like, we're a dying company. We got nothing. We got no revenue. It was like we shit the bed, and we just didn't really take care of what we were going to be doing in the future if, for whatever reason, the sector we were servicing changed too much or just went away. There was no pivot, and now we're just going to tell everybody we're buying Bitcoin. And as always happens, for the most part, at least in the earlier days of all this, the stock price went up because these are all publicly traded companies. Now it's Ether. Oh my God. You got Tom Lee and Bitmine just gobbling up as much Ethereum or Ether as they can. And it's giving a boost to the Ethereum chain and the price of Ether. And yet everybody seems to forget what a Rube Goldberg machine that thing is. But now that's been going on for like 2 or 3 weeks. Now we get into the full shit coinery phase of corporate adoption, because Sharp's technology, which I guarantee you've probably never heard of, Sharp's technology jumped 70% after raising $400 million for a Solana treasury. Kristen Sandor, oh my God, is writing this one for CoinDesk. Oh. NASDAQ listed firm Sharp's Technology, STSS is the ticker, rallied as much as 70% on Monday on raising $400 million to establish what it says could become the largest corporate digital asset treasury of Solana. The firm's fundraising drew backing from one of the most active investors in digital assets, including Parify, Pantera, Falcon X, Coin Fund, and Arrington Capital. Under the deal, shares were sold at $6.50 per unit, with attached warrants exercisable at $9.75. Closing is expected by August the 28th. The stock briefly topped $13 in the morning U.S. hours before pairing gains up 53% from $7.30 at Friday's close. Of course, they announced it on the weekend. The company plans to allocate funds primarily toward acquiring SOL, the native token of the Solana blockchain. Alice Zhang, co-founder of Solana-backed project Jambo, which, again, no one's ever heard of, also joined the firm as chief investment officer and board member. I feel compelled to just stop right there. And you know what? I'm going to. This is all you need to know. I mean, co-founder of a Solana-backed project that no one's ever heard of has now become this company's chief investment officer and a member of the board of directors. You see where this is going. Do not try to pick what's going to be selected next, thinking that you're going to time this market, because now there's so much counterparty risk involved in all of these companies holding. You have no idea what Tom Lee really thinks about Ether, do you? Not unless you're his personal friend, right? We've got demonstrated year after year after year conviction from Michael Saylor, and say what you want about the man, he never has lit up. Jury's way still out on whether or not Tom Lee has any kind of conviction whatsoever, or if he's just wanting to do market manipulation. And I don't have any thoughts on it either way, other than to remind everybody that this is exactly what alt season always has been, only now it's more retarded and more fake. And dare I say more gay. It's cringe at the very roots of what cringe can be. This is Plato's ideal form of cringe, because grown men and women wearing suits that hold high positions and as high-ranking officers in companies that pay them probably pretty good are making the same mistakes that we've always seen made. And they're not going to listen to reason. They're going to shitcoin like there's no tomorrow. So just please mentally prepare yourself for your friends, instead of asking about Bitcoin, asking about the next greatest shitcoin. And is it going to make you feel filthy? Oh, yeah. It's going to make you feel like a dirty bird. Thankfully, my friend SoapMiner can fix that. SoapMiner brand soaps from SoapMiner.com. That's SoapMiner.com. SoapMiner.com is where you're going to get your handmade tallow soap. This soap is clean. Why? Because there's like maybe 3, 4, 5 ingredients depending on which kind of soap you get from SoapMiner, and all of them are natural. The base soap that SoapMiner makes is 3 ingredients. It's lye, it's 100% grass-fed beef tallow, and water. Specifically distilled water. And then, if it's a peppermint, mint bar, there's going to be some kind of essential oil in there for that. If it's going to have like some color, maybe he puts in some color mineral into that particular bar of soap. But this stuff is awesome soap. My family we are still on the same bar, a family of 4 with 2 women and 2 men. Well, okay. I'm talking about my kids, but my son is almost as tall as my wife. Actually, as of yesterday, I think he's officially as tall as my wife. He's 12, but he's, at this point it's not a baby we're washing with this bar of soap. This thing has lasted us for, I can't even remember how many weeks. I'm telling you, this stuff, I can use it as shampoo. Actually, I do. I use it as shampoo. I use it as skin conditioner. I use it as shaving cream. I use it as soap. It's great soap. And he's got so many different kinds of soap. You can get, he's got Comfrey tallow now. Yes, Comfrey tallow. He is now selling Comfrey tallow soap. I got to get some. I got to go zap snag some of this stuff. He has Earl Grey. He's got goat's milk. He's got lemongrass. He's got orange clove. He's got redacted, which has got a lot of carbon in it. It's great for deodorizing and getting oil and stuff off your hands. He's got rough cut tallow. He's got tea tree. He's got pine tar. He's got lavender. He's got peppermint. He's got cedar wood. But the Comfrey soap. Do you work in a garden? Do you go outside? Do you get stung by mosquitoes? You need to get yourself a bar of this. Why? Because Comfrey heals. It's especially good for scrapes, bruises, like insect bites, especially the itchy kind, bee stings, wasp stings, unless you're allergic to that shit, which means, if your EpiPen is out, you better go to the hospital and then get yourself some Comfrey soap. But all the rest of that stuff, if I had had a bar of Comfrey soap when we were in Colorado this last summer, my legs and arms would not look like I had broken out with chicken pox, because I would have immediately just taken like a couple of showers a day, with Comfrey soap and all the mosquito bites essentially kind of go away. Get yourself some Comfrey soap from SoapMiner. Use the code Bitcoin and in the coupon code for 10% off. That lets SoapMiner know that I made a sale for them, and SoapMiner can decide whether or not that sale was worth something for them under the value for value advertising model, only here at the Circle P. Okay, so Japan. 20% flat tax on cryptocurrencies. Yay, Atlas 21 has got it all for us. The FSA, or Japan's Financial Services Agency, is planning a tax reform that could reshape how Japanese investors approach digital assets. According to the business daily Nikkei, the Japanese FSA intends to submit a proposal to revise the tax code for the 2026 fiscal year. The goal is to align the tax treatment of cryptocurrencies with that of listed stocks. The official request for revision is expected to be submitted by the end of August. Nikkei sources reports, if approved, the reform would take effect in the 2026 fiscal year. The reform introduces a 20% flat tax on gains from cryptocurrency trading. Currently, crypto income is classified as miscellaneous income and subject to a progressive rate that can reach up to 55%, excluding local taxes. Holy, maybe they're actually getting a deal out of this, although all taxes are theft, but let's continue. Crypto companies have submitted specific proposals to make Japan's tax environment more competitive. Among them is the introduction of a 3-year carry-forward mechanism for losses, which would allow investors to offset future profits with past losses. We have something like that in the United States. The new framework goes beyond tax revisions, though. The FSA is also working to facilitate the launch of domestic crypto ETFs by Japanese firms aiming to strengthen the competitiveness of the country's digital asset industry. In parallel with the tax reform, the agency is preparing a bill for 2026 that would bring cryptocurrencies under the supervision of the Financial Instruments and Exchange Act, classifying them as financial products rather than means of payment regulated by the Payment Services Act. In a broader context of openness towards digital assets, the FSA is also preparing to approve Japan's first yen-denominated regulated stablecoin, JPYC, issued by the Tokyo-based fintech of the same name. Plans to release stablecoins worth 1 trillion yen, or about $6.78 billion US, over 3 years. The approval, expected this fall, represents another key step in Japan's strategy to promote crypto adoption. I wonder if Japan's bankers are freaking out about that because, yields. Okay, so maybe, just maybe, the 20% flat tax is a better deal for crypto. And oh God, I can't believe it. I'm sorry I said it. I'm sorry. Bitcoin investors in Japan. Maybe. I don't know. I still think that it's like, why do you feel the need to take a fifth of something that I was the brains behind it? Why can't you feed yourself? I mean, this may, if I own my house, why am I paying a property tax on it that if I don't pay, the authorities can come and steal my property, i.e. my house, and leave me homeless, even though I own the house? It's my property. Well, and I know the people that are in the back snickering over there. Yeah, I know. That's the clue. That it's not really your property, is it? Now, there's property tax reform stuff going on all over the United States. I hope some of them at least pass. I'd like to see Texas and Governor Abbott and was it DeSantos or whatever his name is down in Florida. They're both talking about just flat elimination of that tax. A, where are they going to make it up from? And B, is the way they make it up from going to be so onerous that you wish you had property tax back? I'm just saying. This all boils back to, if you guys would just run an efficient show, you wouldn't have tax revolt. You wouldn't have people like me on one side of the mic saying tax is theft, even though it's always going to be theft. Anyway, I'm just pontificating out out loud here before we break for running the numbers. But maybe, just maybe, for the Japanese investors, I don't know what it's like. I don't know what the tax climate is like in Japan. It's certainly not no 55% here in the United States. Well, unless you make a whole shit ton of money on top of it. Like, if your income is like, I think it's like if you're north of $1 million a year in whatever it is that you collect, whether through a job or investments or whatever, I think it's $1 million or over $100,000 a year is one tax bracket for capital gains. After that, the tax bracket goes up, but I don't think it goes up to 55%. So maybe the Japanese people are actually getting a break. Now let's run the numbers. Whoop-de-doody-doo, look at that. West Texas Intermediate oil is up 2 points this morning, $64.93. Brent North Sea is up 1.7% to $68.91. Natural gas is down 1.5% to $2.65, and gasoline is down, but moving sideways to $2.15 per gallon. And then my new favorite friend, Merbon crude oil. Never heard of Merbon before. I first saw it in CNBC.com, Futures and Commodities, last week. But yes, here we go. Merbon crude is up 1.68% to $71.92 a barrel. I wonder why it costs so much more. Metals are having mostly a bad day. Gold, not so much. 0.04% to the downside, 34.17. Silver is down almost a full point. Platinum is down 1.8. Copper, however, is in the green, almost a half point to the upside, while palladium is down 3 1/3. Full mix in ag futures today, and the biggest winner is chocolate, 2.12% to the upside, and the biggest loser is soybeans. For all you soy boys out there, you lost your ass, 1.06%. Meanwhile, live cattle down a half, lean hogs up 0.1%, and feeder cattle are down 0.6%. The Dow is frowning 0.58% in the red today. S&P is down 0.1 of a point, but the NASDAQ is up slightly, 0.06. S&P Mini is down 2/3 of 1 full percentage point. And Bitcoin getting kicked in the balls again. $112,280 per coin gives us a mere measly pissant $2.24 trillion market cap, and we can only get 33.3, magic number, 33.3 ounces of shiny metal rocks with your one Bitcoin, of which there are 19,911,216.81. And average fees per block are very, very low because, everybody said that Bitcoin was dead yesterday because the mempools didn't have any transactions in it. I'm sick of it. Please stop with that freaking narrative. It's just not a range, because now I got 20 blocks in mempools around the world carrying somewhere around 60,000 unconfirmed transactions, going for high priority, medium, and low priority rates of 1 Satoshi per VByte. And mining is holding at 944 exahashes per second. So the miners aren't freaking out. Everybody needs to stop freaking out, because this all happened because of Jerome's Tetons, which was Friday's show of Bitcoin. And I got Flutey with 210 sats says, not sure if you followed me or not on Nostr, but I appreciate all you do, sir. Thank you, Flutey. I don't remember if I followed you or not. Hit me up over on Nostr and just drop like at NunyaBidness in a note and say, it's me. Follow me or something like that. Permanerd with 210 says, thank you, sir. No, thank you. Pies with 121. Thank you, sir. No, thank you. Psyduck with 749 says, Psyduck. Regalecki with 1,000 says, Regalecki. And Chef Tommy, knocking it out of the park. Tom, my boy Tommy gave me 21,000 sats. See, that's a boost. That's the kind of boost that keeps me going. That's the kind of boost I think about when I go to bed. When I lay my pretty little head down on the pillow to get my beauty sleep, I dream of 21,000 sat boost. And Chef Tommy came through, says, we chef boost. third time, but third time? Holy shit, third time, but who's counting? Circular economy is strong. Keep up the signal. We are listening. Thank you, no thank you. He literally says, thank you, no thank you. See, he gets it. That means he is listening. I can tell. Paul Cernine, 500 sat, says, thanks again for another interesting episode. Looking forward to how the BitChat ecosystem takes off. Have a great weekend and see you on the other side. See, I can tell Paul Cernine listens to the show because that's the ending tagline. I'll see you on the other side. Yaddle with 512, obligatory boost. Have a great Monday. It's Monday, dude. They all suck. Anyway, FluxCap with 200 says, great Scott. That's the weather report. Welcome to part 2 of the news that you can use. And this news is about something called Aquastar. AQSTR. I just keep thinking that's something to do with acquire. I'm not sure. But AQSTR.com is a nostr client. Well, kind of. It's a nostr. Do you think of it as a nostr service? But I can sign in with my private key, which I use my Get Albi extension for in my browser. So it holds my private key and it signs me into all these new nostr apps. And I saw AQSTR.com pop up yesterday, and I went to go look at it because what it was doing seemed kind of interesting. What is it? Well, this is why I think AQ somehow or another stands for acquire. If anybody from AQSTR, whoever built this thing, would you please tell me how to pronounce it, first of all, and what it's trying to impart? But think of it this way. I can I can build a task, and you can take that task and earn Satoshis by performing the steps in that task. Now, right now, it looks like it's just about somehow or another boosting other people's notes on Nostr. Hey, it's a clean start, man. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I see this as being able to go into completely different places, but for right now, let's just focus on this task at hand. If I go to aqstr.com and whether I log in with my private key or not, but to take part of this, I have to be in my private key, but I will probably be able to see the tasks that are available. And right now, there are 3 available tasks. Actually, I'm going to refresh that just for shits and giggles. And yes, there are 3 available tasks. I first saw this yesterday, so it probably just got spun up yesterday, like a whole bunch of other stuff is being spun up. Okay, so if I'm looking at the page, and I have 3 options. I've got 3 boxes, and each box says, like at the top says Nostr Boost. And then I get a title like Boost the Bitcoin and Podcast. That was the task that I built yesterday. So I'm going to dive in there. And what I've done is it gives me a place where I can put in a note. So all I did was just say, hey, it's Jerome's Tetons, episode 1153, Bitcoin and is live. And then I give the topics. This is for anybody that sees the way that I announce a new show. I'll be doing the exact same thing today. It's the exact same thing. So I just copied that from where it is that I keep all my show notes, and I drop it into the content to be boosted portion of this task. And then I assigned how much each task would get in Satoshis. So I put in for likes. If you see that note and you like it, and you'll know that it comes from aqstr.com by the way that it's presented in your browser. If you like that note, you'll get, I went cheapskate just to test it out because I didn't know, who knows? I mean, I didn't want to get rugged. So I set everything to like 10 Satoshis for each like. If you repost that same note, you'll get 20 sats. If you reply to that note, I'm only going to give you 5 because chances are good you're going to put in a semicolon. And for all you BitChat folks out there, I think you know what I'm referring to. Get on BitChat if you want to know the inside jokes, man, because you need to try it out. And then follows. If you follow my account, I'll give you 5 sats each on just this one task. So what'll happen is you'll see this come up in your browser as a nostr note, but you'll know that you can get money from it. And if you like it, you'll get 10 sats. And then if you repost that thing, you'll get 20. And it goes down the list. And so what we have is a like, a repost, a reply, and a follow. Those are the tasks. So I said, okay, look, I'll cut 6,000 Satoshis for this campaign. So it's like an ad campaign. So I gave it a budget of 6,000 Satoshis. Well, actually, I gave it a budget. Well, I had to pay 6,000 Satoshis so that I could give it a budget of 5,000 Satoshis, which means they took 1,000 Satoshis off the top. I mean, hey, you got to feed your kids somehow, right? But since I've posted this, 122 separate actions have been completed. And those came from 36 separate npubs. I'm 25% through my realized budget, which means that this could still go for like another, what would that be? 366 actions could be done, somewhere around there on average. It's been running for 1 day. I posted it up last night before I went to bed, or not before I went to bed, yesterday evening. And before I started making dinner, that's when I posted it. Before I started making dinner, I was like, oh, hey, let's try it out. And I mean, my phone was just blowing up. I'm like, holy shit, this thing actually works, man. I've never gotten, let's see, how many people like this? Let's see what I can see down here. It's not breaking it down for me. It just says completions. So I'll have to go back. Bear with me. I'm going to view this on Primal and see what it says. If I can get how many people reposted it. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. 33 reposts. I'd never get that many. I never get that many. And it's because I incentivize people to say, hey man, if you repost it, I'll throw you some sats. I was a complete cheapskate with it. But like I said, I didn't want to get rugged. So I just think, hey, $6, whatever, dude. That's like chump change. Well, it is like a whole coffee that I could probably get from Starbucks, but still, it's $6. It's not like I put 6,000 on here. Okay, so but I got 41 likes out of it. I got 28 replies, and I got 33 people that reposted the note. I've never gotten that activity on a simple show announcement post ever anywhere. I mean, this thing actually works. So again, if you want to try it out, go over to aqstr.com. That's aqstr.com and give it a go. What else can we do with it? I mean, and what else will come out of it? And if it gains some traction, then the creator or creators might say, well, people are using it for this. What else can we do with it? What else can we? Because if nobody uses something, the people that build it are just going to go away. And honestly, look, sure, it could be used for evil. Hell, but I advertise for SoapMiner because I love the guy and I love his soap. And I think it's a good product, and me and my family use it, and we don't use any other soap anymore. I want you to know about it. I think it has value, right? I think this has value. Will somebody use it to shitcoin? Abso-freaking-lutely. That's not aqstr.com's fault. That's the person that chose to use it to shitcoin, right? Be the difference that you want to see in the world. Go to aqstr.com and try it out. And like I said, if any of the people that have built this app is listening to this show, or if you're listening to this show and you know who built this thing, get them in touch with me, because I want to know way more about what's going on here, and I want to know where they're going with it. because I think all kinds of interesting things that my puny little imagination can't think of right now are completely possible. But I want to take a little trip back to Japan, where Metaplanet has joined the FTSE Japan Index as it continues to stack Bitcoin. Vince D'Aquino from Decrypt. Metaplanet will be added to the FTSE Japan Index, further embedding the world's largest digital asset into mainstream equity portfolios. The change was confirmed in an announcement from FTSE, or the FTSE Russell September 2025 semi-annual review on Friday, which upgraded Metaplanet from small cap to mid cap status, with the index inclusion taking effect after market close of September 19th. Metaplanet's inclusion marks another important milestone as it attempts to stay as Japan's leading Bitcoin treasury company, according to CEO Simon Gurovich, because he wrote that shit on Twitter. Anyway, shortly after Gurovich announced the inclusion, the company disclosed the purchase of an additional 103 Bitcoin, bringing its total to 18,991 BTC. They also updated the capital structure, saying that 49,000 stock acquisition rights were exercised in the week of August 18th through the 22nd, adding 4.9 million shares and lifting the total to 722 million, a step that funds further Bitcoin purchases but leaves each existing investor with a smaller slice of the company. You just got diluted. That's what that means. You just got diluted. Anyway, Eric Trump, appointed as a strategic advisor to Metaplanet, I forgot about that, in March, will reportedly attend Metaplanet's next shareholder meeting in Tokyo in September, according to Bloomberg. And part of the FTSE Global Equity Index series, the FTSE Japan Index tracks mid and large cap companies listed in Japan. Funds that track the index automatically buy the stocks it lists. That's why it's going to actually be included. It's going to now have massive exposure to retail and institutional and corporate and commercial, because it's jumped from small cap to mid cap, and the FTSE listed it. You just made the big time. You just made the big time. Okay, so Metaplanet's inclusion in the FTSE Japan and all world indices creates a regulated route for BTC exposures, and it paves the way for other crypto forward companies. Gotta stop using that. Crypto companies to join major benchmarks. Vincent Liu, chief investment officer at Kronos Research, told Decrypt. In effect, quote, passive flows into the FTSE indices could channel institutional capital into Metaplanet to offer indirect Bitcoin exposure, boosting liquidity and long-term stability, despite risks where large movements could still ripple through both equity and crypto markets, Liu said. At a structural level, the promotion shows that Bitcoin treasury strategies don't create barriers to index inclusion, Ryan Yoon, senior analyst at Tiger Research, said. Sorry, I'm kind of running out of steam here, man. Metaplanet was likely evaluated using standard criteria like market cap and trading volume without separately considering their Bitcoin holdings. However, the inclusion appears to represent, quote, the existing index framework's neutral approach rather than active crypto acceptance, Yoon noted. Quote, passive inflow effects exist structurally, but practically, impact remains limited, Yoon said, explaining that while pension funds and index funds automatically purchase Metaplanet shares when tracking FTSE Japan, it produces small index weighting, which means minimal direct Bitcoin demand. What's problematic, according to Yoon, is that investors might, quote, think they're making diversified Japan equity investments while actually being exposed to both Bitcoin price volatility and the company's execution capability in acquiring said Bitcoin. Now at nearly 64% of its 2025 goal, once Metaplanet reaches its 210,000 BTC target, the dependency on Bitcoin could intensify and potentially create, quote, unexpected volatility for passive investors who did not anticipate such crypto exposure, Yoon said. Well, dangers are everywhere. I mean, my God almighty. I mean, it's like, even if I buy a company, if I buy stock in a company that has no exposure to Bitcoin whatsoever, does that mean that I have no volatility risk? That's bullshit. This is yet one more phase of volatility risk, and it introduces, like all manner of third-party risk or counterparty risk. Well, third-party risk is the best way to put it. But that has always been true of all of this stuff. You can't trust Jerome Powell to stand in front of a podium and say the shit you want to hear him say because you hold treasury bonds. You could lose, and people have lost big time as the interest rates on bonds started to increase. They were getting their asses handed to them. Whole banks folded because what they used to be able to say was the value of their bank now is nowhere close to the value because the bonds that they held lost their face value as interest rates increased. So blaming it all on Bitcoin, I don't think that's gonna swing very much retail going, oh my God. I think it would be somebody else who would be scared to buy, Metaplanet, or start bitching at the FTSE for saying, I can't believe you got us into this vehicle. Just because we're buying FTSE, we didn't know that we were going to be buying Metaplanet. I mean, sure, there's probably going to be phone calls and some angry emails or whatever, but honestly, everybody just needs to kind of grow up a little bit. Now, we come to a major loss for a fellow Bitcoiner, and I'm not going to make fun of this guy, but he lost 783 Bitcoin. Not 7.83, 783 Bitcoin in a single social engineering scam. This is Alex Larry out of Bitcoin News. A Bitcoiner has fallen victim to one of the largest individual Bitcoin thefts ever, losing 783 Bitcoin, which was worth more than $90 million in one single transaction. Oh, God, it just hurts to read. The theft was revealed by blockchain investigator Zach XBT, who described it as a social engineering attack where scammers posed as support staff from a digital asset exchange and a hardware wallet provider. According to blockchain data, the incident occurred August the 19th at 11:06 a.m. UTC. The scammers reportedly convinced the victim that they were support agents, and by impersonating trusted companies, they were able to get the investor to share wallet information. Within minutes, they drained the wallet of all 783 Bitcoin. Zach reported the hacker posed as customer support reps from both a digital asset exchange and a hardware wallet company to steal the victim's funds. This is a social engineering attack where criminals manipulate or deceive individuals into revealing confidential information. And I'm going to add something here. Revealing confidential information that they would otherwise be completely unable to get. They didn't hack the information. They hacked his brain for the information. That's what makes this so fucking insidious. Anyway, unlike hacks that exploit software weaknesses, these attacks exploit human trust. That's why these are so terrible. But a day after the theft, the attacker started trying to launder the stolen Bitcoin through Wasabi Wallet. This makes it hard to trace where the money goes as stolen coins are mixed with legitimate ones from other users, and analysts say this is common among cyber criminals. And then, by moving small amounts at a time, criminals test if exchanges will flag or block the funds before attempting larger transfers. Notably, Zach XBT reported that the stolen Bitcoin was first sent to a clean wallet address. Experts believe this was planned to avoid raising immediate suspicion. While the attacker is unknown, Zach XBT ruled out North Korea's Lazarus Group, which had been behind some of the larger digital asset heists in history. Instead, the theft is thought to be the work of individual scammers skilled in impersonation and fraud. Interestingly, the theft occurred exactly 1 year after $243 million Genesis creditor hack in August of 2024, which itself was a social engineering scam. Some have speculated the timing was intentional, but there is no evidence linking the two events. This is a scary trend. Social engineering scams are getting more and more common in the digital asset space. In the past few years, scammers have impersonated hardware wallet companies like Ledger and Trezor, even sending out fake emails and physical letters to users to share their secret recovery phrases under the guise of a critical security update. Victims range from seasoned investors to elderly individuals. In a similar scam earlier this year, one American lost over $330 million in Bitcoin. Zach said users need to be vigilant with these scams. Responding to a comment about how to guard against such attacks, Zach XBT said, quote, "By assuming every call and every email you receive is a scam by default." Zach's not wrong. That is always my assumption. Always my assumption. I've been getting email after email after email over the last 2 weeks, not from a crypto company, somebody who just wants to scam me or phish me by saying that my cloud storage is about to be deleted. And of course, all I have to do is look at the email address and go, that's not an email address from anything. That's just that's a burner email address. But even if it wasn't, like, let's say, hey man, this is Adam's cloud storage company and your cloud storage is about to be deleted. So you need to click here. That's your first clue. You need to click here so you can go re-up, how much money you're giving us or update your payment information. There's another clue, that kind of thing. And all I do is I go, like, I'm still using, I use Outlook. Not Outlook, Gmail. In the Gmail browser, I can just go over and I can say, report this email is phishing. But I keep getting them again and again and again and again. And one of the other parts of a social engineering attack is to wear you down, where they send the exact same email so many times that you start thinking in the back of your head, well, wait a minute, did I have this service? And that's where at that point, it's starting to be effective. And you need to stop that shit right now. Just ask yourself a question. Exactly what percentage of emails do you get to a personal account that would be devastating if you deleted them and didn't respond to them at all? It's going to be a percentage. I mean, clearly, it's like, hey man, you're late on your bill. You need to pay us the money. Yeah. If it's enough money and it's like the right, then like your AT&T bill, they cut off your fucking phone. You're done. And then you got to go groveling to get your phone service back. Stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, like, or that's not really devastating, but like, let's say, a family member died and you were just deleting emails and you didn't ever find out about it and you didn't get to go to your own, mother's funeral or you get what I'm saying. But what percentage is that? Is it 5%? Is it more like 10%? I doubt it. I'm going to be conservative and say 92% of all the emails we get could be thrown in the trash can immediately, never clicked on, never seen. We have no idea what the content was, and life would go on without any incident whatsoever. But one mistake like this can cost you life-changing amounts of money. Nobody is asking you who's credible for your seed phrase. If they are, it is a scam. They are going to take your money because if you give them your seed phrase, what you're actually doing is giving them your wallet and all access to the wallet, meaning they can vector the funds directly out of your wallet to anywhere they so choose, and you're never going to see it again. Do not click on links in emails. Scan the address of the email sender. Look, does it make sense? Is there a match to the company name that they say that they're representing? There's another clue. If they say something like your payment information has been compromised, it's probably a clue that it's a scam. Please, for the love of God, be careful with this stuff. because this is beyond a bad day. This can cause somebody to do something very, very drastic, like suicide, or enter into the depths of a depression that they never escape from. And that's why I'm so sad for this person. There's really nothing else to say about it except, please, if you're listening to me, I don't want to ever hear this story from you. I don't ever want to hear this story from you. I don't ever want to hear this story from you. I'll see you on the other side. This has been Bitcoin and I'm your host, David Bennett. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and hope to see you again real soon. Have a great day.